Hey, you're just about to watch a Facebook Live that I did last week that had an enormous amount of engagement and really positive comments. And it's because I shared three really deep shifts that I made to go from 14 years of struggling and failure to overnight success. And I really mean overnight because it was within 1 week I went to do my first presentation. There was 7 people there, all 7 signed up. And within 1 year, I had 1,000 people in my team. Within 2 years, 10,000. My life was changed forever because of these three shifts that I'm going to share with you right now. But I will say before we start the Facebook Live, this is a live. It's going a little bit slow. If you're the kind of person that can't keep attention on something for a few minutes without any fancy editing and things flying in on the screen all the time, this is not for you. But if you are ready to go deep and make a transformation, I can tell you this is some of the stuff that's not often shared, and it's some of the stuff that's the most necessary for you to know. So let's get ready to take lots of notes. Let's get started with the Facebook Live. I started my first business at 21 and went bankrupt very quickly. And then I got into the home-based business models, network marketing, and I failed over and over and over and over again until I had enough. And I made a few changes, and that turned it into instant success for me. And I'm going to cover a few of the things here that made the difference. And just like everything else in life, you probably heard the 20-80 rule, the 80-20 rule, whatever, the Pareto principle, is that it's only the 20%, the 20% of what you do makes 80% of the difference. And I've actually found that it's actually more like the 90-10 rule, where 10% of what you do makes 90% of the difference. So I'm going to talk about these 10% today that made 90% of the difference for me and help me build a team of 4,500 people in a year. After that year, I actually made a big mistake of kind of becoming lazy, but my team kept on growing because I put systems in place and trained people really, really well, so they could keep on going, even though I moved to the Caribbean and start traveling the world and enjoying myself. Of course, I was still doing the business on the side, but it was very much a kind of a hobby thing I was doing on the side while I was traveling the world. So let's get to it. The first thing I want to address is that it may seem to you that you are completely hopeless because you tried for 5 years, whatever endeavor it is that you've tried, and it seems that you've gotten nowhere. Okay. And I just want to give you that hope that first of all, that you're not hopeless. Number one, you're not hopeless. Okay. You can learn, you can stretch, but you probably done things the wrong way if you haven't had any traction for 5 years though. But also want to let you know that you probably haven't lost the 5 years. You probably haven't wasted them. You have probably gained a lot of understanding of whatever game it is that you were in. So those 5 years are not wasted. Okay. But without any traction, there is probably something you need to change, because I almost guarantee if you continue to do the same that you've done for the last 5 years that hasn't worked, or 10 years, or like in my case, 14 years, or maybe it's more in your case, if you continue to do the same, you will get the same results. Okay. So let me walk you through some of the errors that I made, some of the shifts that I did that turned into this incredible transformation. Because I'll tell you, I reached a point in my life where I said, this is simply not okay anymore. I wouldn't say that I was on the verge of suicide. Maybe I actually was. It's so long ago that I can hardly remember it. I know that I was very, very, very deeply down in the gutters. And I said, I gotta get out of here. I have to do something different. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to go to the mountaintop no matter what, or you will see me dead on the side. Okay. I just knew that I had to change. And I understood that circumstances are not going to change until you do. Okay. You need to change first. And when you change, circumstances will change. It might not happen in 1 month or 3 months or 6 months, but it will change at some point. It absolutely is inevitable. So here's the first change I did, which is absolutely crucial. And you probably won't be able to appreciate or understand or expect how dramatic a change this will have on an impact on several areas of your business and your life. But I can tell you it's massive. And there's this thing. You decide to burn your boats. And I don't know if you know the historical reference to this story, but it was basically a Spanish conqueror that went to Mexico to conquer Spain. And when he arrived, he basically burned his boats to tell his people, it's like, not conquer Spain, of course, conquer Mexico for Spain. But he told his people, basically, there is no retreat. There is no retreat. We either die or we win. There is no other way. Now, why this is such an incredible mindset and so important is like, if you started personal development, you probably come across Tony Robbins, I would imagine. And Tony Robbins says again and again and again and again, you have to make it a must. Make it a must. Make it a must. Make it a must. He says so many times. Why is this so important? Well, it's because of the way that our brain is actually constructed. So the way that we are constructed is that we do the things that we like to do, like eating ice cream or watching your favorite show on Netflix. That's pleasurable, right? It's thing we like to do. It's something we want to do. It gives us immediate pleasure, or it removes us from immediate discomfort. Those are the things that it's easy for us to do. And then we do the things that we have to do. Now, that's why most people, they go to a job that they hate because they have to do it. Now, of course, that's not completely true, but they think they have to do it. And yeah, on a short-term, medium-term basis, you probably have to do it, right? You've got to pay the bills. You've got to have money for food, to pay for your kids' school and whatever, There's certain things we have to do, and those things we tend to do. We tend to get up and get it done, right? But it's the things in the middle, and those are actually the things that really can have a transformational effect in your life. Like eating ice creams and watching Netflix shows is certainly not going to get you the life that you want. Trust me, I tried it. I tried it multiple times, especially the eating ice cream. I don't know if you know this, but I used to be extremely overweight. And I almost would say that that's being nice. I was a whale. I was really, really overweight. And so trust me when I say that I've been in the boat of understanding like the short route, right? Or what you want is eating ice cream, or in my case, well, I loved ice cream. I was eating a lot of ice cream, but it was also bread with cheese and Danish butter and like amazing stuff, right? And it obviously didn't give me the result that I wanted. So I think it was about 9 years ago, I made an absolutely transformational shift that led to me losing 150, 160 pounds. And so I stopped doing what I felt like doing. And that's really, really important, to not do what you feel like doing, but you do what's necessary. Do what is necessary. What was necessary for me to stop eating ice cream and Danish bread, butter, cheese all the time, right? And then actually start working out, eating healthier. The same thing with my business. What I did was being in a constant loop of keep on learning more and learning more and learning more, but not putting it into action. And so I made an absolutely, like, it was literally night and day. And it's even almost crazy for me to think about how quickly my life changed when I made this shift. So when I decided I'm going to be on the mountaintop no matter what, or dead on the side, within 1 week, I'd found a new company in network marketing that I really believed in. And I believed this was going to be different. In fact, I just believed so much in it, and I knew it, that this was going to be it. It was not even in Denmark at that point. So I said, well, like, who cares where it is? I'm going to be where this company is. I'm not going to sit and wait for 4, 5, 10 years for this company to open in Denmark. I'm going to take initiative, and I'm going to take action, and I'm going to burn my boats. I'm going to burn my boats. That means no retreat. So no more excuses, no more explanations, no more stories about why I couldn't do it. No more saying, "Oh, I'm not ready for making a presentation yet. I don't feel comfortable talking to people. I don't feel comfortable making a presentation." F that. All right. Out the window with all that shit. That's just stories that keep you back, keep you broke, and keep you away from your dreams. Do what's required, do what's necessary, not what feels nice. If I had continued to do what feels nice, I would have been in a situation right now that would feel really, really not nice, if that makes sense. If I just continued to stay within my comfort zone, continue to eat the way I want it, continue to tell myself story why I was not ready, continue to not take action, well, I would probably be been broke taxi driver in Denmark still, or temp agent, right? And it's definitely not what I wanted to be. I felt like I have a potential to become more. So burning of boats is massive. It's absolutely massive because something happens in your brain. We tend to do what's necessary, and suddenly it became necessary. Financially, it wasn't necessary, but it became necessary to my emotional survival, if that makes sense, to my spiritual survival. I just knew I had to do it. And the moment I knew I had to do it, I suddenly just started doing it. So that's one thing. You will start to access resources in your brain and that you have not been able to access before. Guarantee you. That moment where you burn the boats and saying, I will do this come hell or high water, you will start to access resources in your brain. And so, like all the excuses before, oh, I don't have money for that training. Well, suddenly you will find the money. Suddenly, that money will just appear for you in your life. It's absolutely incredible. Like, for example, with me, I joined this company and went to the UK to a convention to really learn, get to know the people that was there. And by the way, I'll get to in a second why most people waste 95% of the time on the wrong thing. They absolutely waste the time on the completely wrong thing, right? I want to drive this home. Okay, people say, "Oh, I don't have time to do a side business, a side hustle. This takes so much time. I tried it, and it takes so much time." Yeah, you tried and you've done the wrong things. You focused 95% of your time on learning the wrong things and doing the wrong things. So therefore, you're not getting any results. So the moment you start doing the right things and learning the right things, well, then you're going to get results, and you can do it in an incredibly short amount of time. Right? So don't buy into this thing about that you need tons and tons of time to do your side hustle and get results. Right? So, okay, let's go. So, as you can see, I get very passionate about this because right, it's so frustrating to see people that have dreams and they have the potential, but they're just not using it. It frustrates the hell out of me, right? Because I was there, wasted 14 years of my life, and then just exploded. So joined this company, was in it for 4 days, and did my first presentation after 4 days. 7 people was there, 7 people signed up. And then we were off to the races. And it's real because I actually kind of expected it. So the second thing that happens here is when you burn your boats, there is an energetic shift that people can feel around you. You probably heard about this movie called The Secret, or the book called The Secret, where they talk about, you send your thoughts out to the universe and, you'll get back and you just think your way to success. That's sort of true, but it's also sort of bullshit. Okay. But I'll tell you what really does work is that the moment you burn your boats, there's an energetic shift that people can sense. And suddenly, because they know that people can sense, they can feel your energy, that you are going somewhere, you are going to the top, you made a decision. That's the kind of people want to follow. People want to follow people that know where they're going, they have a big vision, and they're absolutely certain that they are willing to do whatever it takes. That means that you're willing to also help these people go to where they want to go. And people can feel that. And people can feel the lack of that decision, the lack of that energy. And that's why some people get tons and tons and tons and tons of no's, and other people get a lot less no's. Now, like in any business with anything, you got to be willing to take the no's. Like it's just going to happen. You're going to have lots of them. But when you make that shift, I guarantee you, you're going to get a lot less of them, a lot less of them. And not only that, the people that then will join you or buy from you, they're going to get way more excited. They will be more excited because their belief level will start at a higher point. It's like your energy will lift them. Their energy will be lifted because you decided to lift your energy. Okay? So that is the first shift you need to do to get massive results in a short amount of time. And it doesn't matter what field you're in, that act alone of just burning your boats, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Number two, part of that is that you got to become coachable. And that is something that is surprisingly hard for a lot of people. Most people have an enormous ego and they would rather do it in their own way and proving that they are amazing and that their idea and their skills are amazing than being willing to become coachable and teachable and become an apprentice again. Once in your life, you were an apprentice, you went into school and you learned fast, right? You learned very fast. Lots of people say that kids learn faster than grown-ups, and actually, that's actually not true in many cases, and in lots of cases, because when you're grown up, you can, in many cases, actually learn faster because you have context, you have background from other areas that will enable you to speed up learning. But one of the problems for grown-ups is that they have egos, and that's the egos that get in the way of them learning. And get their effing ego out of the way. Become an apprentice again, right? Follow somebody that you like and you trust, and that have the results that you want to get, and then do whatever they say that you need to do without letting your ego trip you over and stop you from getting to where you need to be. And I see so many people that they're just not willing to learn. Like they say, well, I just don't like to do it that way. So imagine this. I mean, imagine this. This is absolutely insanity. Imagine that you wanted to become a doctor and you got into the school, university, whatever it is, college. Well, I don't know where you go to as a doctor. And the first day your professor will start to teach you, well, this is how you dissect a heart, or, this is how you do an operation on this or that or whatever, and say, well, I don't like to do it that way. I think I want to do it a different way. Like, what? Like, that's insanity. It's absolute insanity. Look, if you're an innovator, great. Wait with the innovation until you make $10,000, $20,000 per month, okay? And then start to innovate. Learn the basics first. Learn the fundamentals. Learn from somebody who's been there. I guarantee you, you are going to speed up your learning so much by setting your ego aside, by setting aside all the things that you think this is the way to do things or not do things, and simply do what a successful person in your field is doing and telling you to do. That is, I'm telling you, that is how to do it. So I became coachable and teachable. Number three, I started to hang around these successful people and did whatever I could to hang around them, because I suddenly understood, look, I have to, learning to become successful is more than reading a book, listening to a course. You can pick up a lot of things from people, just watching people in action. Things that they would never put in the course, right? So I started hanging around, and you probably heard this before, that people will become like the people they hang around. Like, you will be the average of the 5 people that you know, the people that you hang around the most. So if you want to improve your life, you got to start hanging around people that have the lives that you want. And I asked a myriad of questions. And see, that's what happens when you suddenly become very focused on achieving a result. Your questions is going to change. I can tell you, um, you can actually really determine, predict whether somebody's going to be successful based on the questions that they ask. So lots of people will join in, for example, in network marketing. Now I'm taking it out of the context of my field here of network marketing, but it really doesn't matter. It's the same in every field. There will be a lot of people asking questions like, what's in the product? How do I fill in this form? What's the price of the product? What's the shipping policies? How long does it take to be shipped? Okay, there's nothing wrong with knowing all those things, but the really interesting thing is that there's this type of people that ask that kind of questions. And I'll contrast these questions, and this is massive. I'm telling you, this is absolutely massive. If you understand this and you implement it, you will be successful at some point, right? You might still need some guidance, coaching, and all that kind of stuff that will speed it up, but you will be successful if you do this one thing, if you understand this. Now, a different type of people, and the questions that I was asking, for example, is how can I improve? What is this business really about? And I understood quickly it's about people and psychology. I said, okay, so what do I need to know about psychology? All right, you need to learn a pitch. Okay, how do I learn to pitch? How can I improve my pitch? What am I not doing correctly? What are my blind spots? How can I be better at presenting? So you see how those questions is, if you can categorize that, it would be categorized, I guess, put in a box that has to do with how do I improve my skills? As in the other box is purely information that has nothing to do with you. What's in the product? What's the price of the product? And I'll tell you, those things have almost zero effect on your business. Zero. Do you need to know them? Would it be good to know them? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Do you need? Probably not. Because I honestly, at this point, and it's so interesting, lots of people will scratch their head and think, well, how come Patrick doesn't know the price of the product or the taxes or whatever? Because I can point towards a link where people can find that out by themselves. And if they can find it out by themselves, it's not something I need to do, and it's not something I need to focus on. I need to focus on improving my skills and helping people with the stuff that they cannot find out by themselves, that they cannot do by themselves. And that has to do with breaking their own inner barriers, learning how to communicate in an effective way, in an impactful way, understanding influence, understanding psychology, understanding how to lead, how to make an effective presentation. All those things are things that it's very hard for people to do, if not impossible, in many cases, do by themselves. That's what I'm focusing on, not what they can do. And that is a monumental shift as well to make. Don't focus on purely data and information. Focus on learning psychology and communication strategies, and then everything else will fall into place. Hey, I would love to hear what the most important insight you got out of that was. And of course, if you like it, please hit the like button. And if you want the real secret to success in network marketing, please hit the subscribe button. There's going to be some amazing content coming around the corner. That's all for now. Have a great day.